Imagine not being able to read the paper because your hands were shaking. Imagine not being able to read newsprint as your world faded to black. The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. With your host, Lee Martin, and co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine.
We want to welcome you to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana show. This is a show that the National Federation of the Blind provides. It's a free service. It's a service that allows individuals that are blind, visually impaired, print challenged, those with certain forms of dyslexia, and even the deaf-blind community to have access to the printed press. The printed press, we have over 480 newspapers throughout the country. We have 15 international newspapers that individuals can read that are qualify for the service, and we have magazines that individuals can read. Here in the Indianapolis area, I'm proud to say that, hey, on a daily basis, I can read the Indianapolis Star or the Indiana Monthly magazine. I can also read the Indianapolis Recorder and the Indiana Business Journal. So I enjoy reading those. So you have free access to that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if there's a weather alert, I can go to Newsline and check out the different weather alert information that we have there, job listings. We also have the Target and Walmart circulars. I can read those that come in the mail. I know that to our sighted viewers, sometimes this to you it might become redundant. That doesn't interest me. You know, it's kind of frivolous to me. But if you lose your sight, it becomes the world to you, wouldn't you say, Florence?
It certainly does.
So let's talk a little bit about the magazines that we have on there, Florence.
Well, Lee, I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about AARP magazine.
Oh, okay. I wonder why.
I wonder why. And there's AARP magazine for people such as myself who are seniors. There's a lot of information there about products and services, and there's also magazines for people that are health conscious, and magazines for people, let's say parents, and children's magazines. There's Ebony magazine is one of the good magazines that I enjoy reading as well. Guidepost magazine, WebMD. So there is a magazine for everyone. What do you think about GQ magazine?
Oh, well, I think that we ought to tell the representative. He might know like that magazine there. And so we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back with our representative, John Barlett. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Thousands of Indiana residents feel isolated from the world due to vision problems. Thanks to the National Federation of the Blind, visually impaired Hoosiers can hear newspapers, circulars, and magazines from across the globe.
I'm a Vietnam veteran. I'm blind. I read Stars and Stripes on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline.
Welcome back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana show, where we have a special guest today, Representative John Bartlett from the 95th District. And Representative Bartlett, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for the invite.
Without people such as yourself, we wouldn't have access to the service. And as you know, that literacy is very important. And what do you think about it, Representative?
Well, I think we have an obligation as legislators to all of the citizens, all of our Hoosiers, whether you are sight challenged or not, you should be afforded all the opportunities that everyone else receives. And I think the legislature works to make sure that happens.
And we certainly appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I tell you what, our legislators have their hands full, and as many legislators has told us, as blind community, that if you don't bring your issues to them, most likely they won't be heard. And you know, we want to applaud you for you know, doing the work that you do, not only in your district, but, you know, for us in this state of Indiana. Now, how long have you been a representative in the 95th District?
Lee, I was campaign committee chair for the late State Representative Mae Dickinson for 16 years. And when she retired in 2007, I was her choice to replace her. So I was caucused in by the precinct committee people in December 2007. I got sworn in January the 8th, 08, and I've been there ever since.
Now, the district, that's the east side, far east side of Indianapolis?
Yes, my southern boundary is the center line of East 38th Street. My northern boundary is the center line of 65th Street. My western boundary is the center line of Emerson, and I go from Emerson out to Carroll Road or County Line Road.
Okay. Well, we consider what far east side?
Far east side, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now, dealing with the, you know, the legislature and just, I mean, what basically inspired you to get, you know, involved as, you know, maybe there's someone out here that's a young person that, you know, want to, how do I get involved? What would your recommendation be?
Actually, the voting process, period. We do not pay enough attention to that. And politics governs your life. I don't care where you are, what stage in your life. Politics affects you. Your light bill, the folk who set the price on your light bill, they are appointed by elected officials. The voting process is something you have to get involved with. And in this state, we have precinct committee people, and you move up the chain. Now, I grew up in Brightwood, and I never thought about being a state legislator because, Lee, I'm 70 years old, and when I was growing up, that was not something that African Americans participated in. We didn't have, I don't think we had any African American legislators when I was a boy. So I didn't even know what they did. So as you get older and began to pay attention and raising a family and whatever, you want to know what is good and what is right for your family as a father. And so, like, you get involved in politics. And I got involved as a precinct committee person because I wanted to know what was going on. I got 4 sons. What's facing my sons? What challenges would they have? And how can I kind of navigate this way for them? So I got involved as a precinct committee person, and the late State Representative Mae Dickinson saw me, and we worked on the United Negro College Fund thing together, and she came to me and asked me if I'd be her campaign manager. And I said, I don't know what a campaign manager does. And she said, just make sure nobody bothers me. I said, well, I come out of Brightwood, I can do that. You know what I'm saying? And we just formed a bond, and she was kind of like a second mother to me, you know, and I still miss her today.
Mm. Now, you mentioned voting, mm-hmm. and really want to expound on that a little bit for people that are blind and those that are disabled. Oftentimes they leave themselves out of the voting process, and we'd like to let them know that there's a number or a myriad of ways that you can vote being blind. We have a voting machine called Ivotron that individuals can utilize to vote. We have the National Federation of the Blind news line, so you can be more informed as to what, who you're voting for and what they're standing for. oftentimes people don't know the issues and what we're voting for as blind citizens, but we do have that free service that you can keep up with each candidate. So we just want to encourage you to learn more about the devices that are and machines that are out there to help individuals that are blind, vision impaired, and those with other forms of disabilities to get out and vote. We encourage you to get out and vote in November. So, you know, if we have a problem with the sighted population voting, I mean, you know, where we stand.
We had the lowest voting turnout, state of Indiana, in the nation. And we were either number one or number two as being the lowest voter turnout in the nation as far as voting is concerned. And I would say this, the more challenges you have, the higher your need is to vote. Having a disability, you want to vote and become informed. Please, ignorance is a choice.
It is.
You have to choose to be ignorant because the availability to be informed is there. And you need to read, you need to know what's going on. You need to know, why am I voting for John Bartlett? What has he done to make me go and cast my vote for him? You have two reasons to vote. John Bartlett's doing a great job and I'm gonna go and vote for him, or John Bartlett promised me he was gonna do this, this, and this. He's not done any of that. He's not a public servant. So you need to go and vote me out of office, if that's the case. So like you need to not just vote for me because I'm of a certain political party, because I'm African American, because I'm white, because I'm male, because I'm female. What is this person doing? What in his daily life, what in his job that we elected him to do says to me that I should put him back in office?
So, Representative John Bartlett.
Yes, sir.
Aside from the voting issue, I know that you're dealing a lot in your district right now with the food deserts.
Yes, sir.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. Actually, I'm very disappointed. We just had a Kroger to close at 46 in Devington. I met with Kroger folk when they closed the one at 38th and Post Road. We met at Cafe, and they had already decided to close their store. They'd made that business decision, but we had an agreement that before they would close another, if there was a problem, we would talk about it to see if we could solve the problem before they closed the store, before they made the decision to close the store. August the 2nd, I got a call from a representative from Kroger saying we're gonna close the store by the end of the month, before August 31st. And I questioned that. I said, we had an agreement. Well, this representative said, I've only been with Kroger for 2 years, so I don't know about the agreement. But they'd already made the business decision to close it. Herein lies the problem. The Kroger at 38th and Post Road was closed, northeast side. Then there's an Aldi's that was there by the White Castle at 38th and Pendleton Pike, and over on Mass Avenue over by the Bowling Alley. There was an Aldi's there. There's two. Then Safeway at 46 in Shadeland closed. And then the Marsh at 47th and Franklin and 75th in Shadeland closed. And now the Kroger's is closing. So that's 6 supermarkets in that area that are gone and creating food deserts. What you have is you go to some of the stores, Dollar General, Family Dollar, and you get a lot of the processed foods, which is not good for human consumption. You get to eat, but the chemicals and all the processed stuff that goes into that, what you're eating, and I would suggest that your viewers check out some terms. Ractopamine, R-A-C-T-O-P-A-M-I-N-E, ractopamine, R-A-C-T-O-P-A-M-I-N-E. That's a chemical that they feed cows and hogs to make them grow quicker, make them stronger, bulk them up. But there are 160 countries that will not accept beef or pork to come in their country if it has the ractopamine chemical in it. So in the United States, we have a domestic slaughterhouse and an international slaughterhouse, because if it has that ractopamine chemical, we can't sell that beef to 160 countries. But that ractopamine chemical also makes the animals violent, and you are what you eat. You wonder why our children are so violent now. That's what we're putting into them. Lee, I can remember back in the day when we were younger, if we got into it, and you say, John, I don't want to fight you, man. I've been knowing you all my life. You turn and walk away. I could say 2 words, and the fight was on. Yo, mama. And so the conversation's over now. We getting ready to rearrange the furniture. But now children will talk back to their mama, fuss at their mama, cuss their mama out, will fight their mama, and even kill their mama. Mamas and big mamas were always sacred, but we put this chemical into our children. Another term is atrazine, A-T-R-A-Z-I-N-E, atrazine, A-T-R-A, excuse me, Z-I-N-E. Atrazine is a chemical that they use to grow corn. Now, if you eat canned goods, you got corn syrup in it. If you get dried goods, you got corn starch in it. And most of us like fried corn or corn on the cob. But the University of California, Berkeley did a study on atrazine. They fed atrazine to 10 male frogs. 3 became sterile, 7 turned into female. Psychiatrists, psychologists agree that a human mind is not fully developed to age 25, age 27. So if you're putting this atrazine into an undeveloped mind, and if it turns frogs from male to female, what do you think it's doing to our children? So we are not reading, we're not paying attention, we're not voicing our opinion when something goes that we're not happy with. We let it go. Our educational system, we're not keeping up with that. And there was one great philosopher who said, if you want to hide something from the Negro, put it between the covers of a book. And we're still following in that same pattern today. Not only the Negro, too many of our young folk don't read, don't know what's going on. They don't know why you should even vote. They don't know why you should even learn. They don't know why you send them to school. All they know is, my mom and daddy sent me to school. No one sits down and tells them why you need an education, what the education will do for you. We don't even have those kinds of discussions. And we need to change that.
Well, we're going to take us a short break, and we're going to talk about how we're going to make these changes through our legislature and the great works that Representative John Bartlett is doing in the 95th District, as well as around the state and country. We'll be right back.
As I travel the nation, I read NFB Newsline.
I live in Valparaiso, Indiana, and I listen to my local news on NFB Newsline.
As a student, I enjoy reading current events on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
Welcome back to the show with our guest this afternoon, Representative Bartlett. I know that there are some farmers markets or farmers out in the community and hoping to make a difference. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, Farmers Co-op, the Black Farmers Co-op, they have gardens. they're feeding folk, African American females. They have gardens here around the city of Indianapolis, down at Lyle Station, in this co-op. And we've talked with them. We're going to work with them. We have a meeting, I think, Thursday at the State House with the Farmers Co-op, Pastor Tony McGee, who's actually taken the lead on the food desert for House District 95 and that area there. The Kroger's closing was devastating, and to find out you're not going to have food in less than 30 days. And my major problem is that Kroger was accessible for seniors to walk to the store. It gave them an opportunity to get out and walk. We all should walk at least a half hour a day anyway. I don't, but we should. But the seniors had an opportunity to walk. They walk over to the store, shop, and walk back home. And I can remember the day when I knew how far I could go on the mileage-wise on the gasoline that I had in my vehicle, and I could get to work on Friday, get my check, get over to the check cashing place, and get to the service station and put gas in my car. And when you are young and have a family, sometimes those days come. We just elevated the gasoline tax another 10 cents a gallon. So when these young folk with families go to buy gasoline, their price is up. So you park your car and you walk to the store. If you got boys, you walk with them, and it gives you time to walk and talk and bond with your family. But now those stores are gone. And so we're working now to see how we can repair or replace that shopping center. What stores, a store that we could bring in where we could have wholesome food. We're going to work with the Farmers Co-op to bring in good fruits and vegetables that's not full of insecticides, pesticides, and whatever. So we want to begin to put good food into our systems. You might remember Willie Frank Middlebrook. He used to always say, you can keep looking over the hill if you want to, but the cavalry ain't coming. It's up to us to save us. And those words they just ring in my mind periodically, because that's the truth.
That is.
You got to stop asking other folk to take care of you. You take care of yourself. And we're coming together as a community trying to make that happen.
Well, the huge amount of diversity and inclusion into our own communities, the onus is up on us, those that are disabled, those that are able, to participate actively in our efforts to make sure that our communities are, livable.
Absolutely.
And I know that there's a number of challenges throughout all our districts, throughout the country. And, we talked about voting, we talked about the food plight, and we talked about a little bit about the violence and some of the causes of the violence. As a legislator, what are some of the other changes that are thought patterns that's going through our legislature right now to, combat those issues?
Well, actually, the legislature is looking at education, and they keep looking at it. I don't know that they fixing it or hurting it or what they're doing to it, but it's messed up right now. But as citizens, another thing I want to touch on too is those viewers, please stop throwing trash out of your cars and on the ground. We get something like 35 million tons of trash out of our lakes and our rivers annually. God gave us this good earth, and we need to begin to protect it, take care of it. You go to McDonald's and throw the paper, or Burger King and just throw the paper out the window, And that's something that aggravates me, to just see citizens, this is where you have to live, you know, and let's keep our earth tidy. Let's begin to pay attention to that. And let's get back into, our nation seems to be so angry. Mm-hmm. Remember my district yesterday, it's a road rage. So a young lady got killed in a shooting. And why are we so angry? Why? I was able to, in 2017, was able to get a bill to put prayer back in the schools, because once prayer left, our society changed. Discipline before we took prayer out of schools was chewing gum in class, running in the hallway, talking in class, getting out of line when you walk down the hall. Now, 1,000 teachers a month go to the hospital or seek medical attention that they received in the classroom. We're just angry. And we have to wake up and begin to look at this thing holistically, not just a piece and a piece and a bit. We have to look at how we treat our fellow man, our fellow woman, and begin to embrace one another again. We are Americans, and that love that we once had is absent.
And I tell you what, that's something that I wholeheartedly agree with you on that on. And, you know, we just appreciate you coming on to the show. Mm-hmm. And I know there's so many other issues that we need to cover. And I know that we want to cover, you know, so much more. We'd like to have you come back onto the show and talk about some of the other issues, and, you know, do a little bit more with people with disabilities as well, some of the things that we have. And I look forward to all of that conversation in the very near future.
And let me say publicly, too, I thank you and Ms. Florence for coming to my town hall and being a part of that on October the 1st. I'm hoping you come back because there's an awareness that you provide for our constituents in House District 95, and we totally appreciate the fact that you came on August 21st and you enlightened, because I like to educate my members of my district, and you brought an education that they had not had before. So I want to thank the both of you for attending, and please come back.
So as we go ahead and leave, we want to thank you for inviting us, and thank you for coming on to the show, and we definitely will be back, and because we believe that working together works.
The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. For more information, go to nfb-in.org or call 855-963-6476. That's 855-963-6476. The National Federation of the Blind encourages you to live the life you want.